is good in camp. The swimmers are feeling good. Taper's going well, which is what we call the period before you race. So the swimmers are starting to rest. The intensity's coming down. The volume in training is coming down. They're starting to feel good, which is, as an athlete and a swimmer, that's the most exciting time, is when you actually don't get as tired anymore and you're actually looking forward to racing. The nerves are starting to kick in as well.
Is there a swimmer that's sort of like Michael Spinks, or somebody who's going to really dominate and win about 7 medals? Is there somebody we should keep an eye out for?
Oh, there's lots of medals opportunities, and there's some really incredible swimmers worldwide. I think, from a GB perspective, we've got Duncan Scott, who I believe came away with 5 medals at the previous, 4 or 5 medals at the previous games. Yeah. Team GB's most successful athlete at the whole games, so I think he'll be looking to add to that. And we've got Matt Richards from GB also looking to bring back a haul of medals. So we've got a really strong team heading out. Tokyo was our best ever games, so we'll be really looking forward to kind of matching that medal count again, if not better.
Yeah, the human
Michael Phelps.
I always like the human side, the human stories of these jazz. What age did you start swimming, and when did you sort of start taking it seriously? Because it is hours and hours at the pool, isn't it, for these people?
It is. It's one of those sports, that we do hours and hours up and down a black line of swimming pool. And from the age of 11, I was getting in the pool at 5:15 in the morning before school. Sorry. So there is a big commitment. The swimmers. When I was training, I was swimming about 70 to 75 kilometres per week. As a distance swimmer, some of these swimmers, are ranging probably between 40, 50, 60 kilometres per week up and down black line of swimming pool. So it is tough, but we wouldn't have it any other way. We love what we do.
We're really looking forward to it, Jazz. Thank you so much for joining to us, and we'll speak to you over the next few weeks.
Thanks so much. Really looking forward to it.
Lovely stuff. TalkSport has you covered for the Olympic Games. Over 250 hours of coverage with expert analysis from the likes of Sir Steve Redgrave and Dame Kelly Holmes. That's us, Andy.
Brilliant.
Had a lovely afternoon.
Yeah, thanks very much.
If you've missed any of it, you can catch up with some of it on the podcast, the bits we liked anyway. And it's Andy Goldstein.
Fans of the birthday spread.
Yes.
That's right. He's in today's podcast.
It is indeed. There we are. Andy Goldstein and Jason Cundy with Drive next.
Hornsby and Jacobs on TalkSport with Tool Station. Conquer the entire job faster and easier with click and collect to over 550 stores nationwide for a job done right. The sizzle of a sausage on the barbecue, music to your ears, poured like a symphony. Because, well, who doesn't love a barbecue? It's your happy place, your raison d'etre. A barbecue area planned and paved to perfection. It's what a garden's all about. With Bradstone, whatever makes a great outdoor space to you, we see it too. Create your great outdoors. Visit Bradstone.com.
The sun was shining, the dogs were quacking. All was well as Derek Johns stubbed out his lunchtime cigarette on the ground and put his rubbish in the bin. On his way back to work, he suddenly felt terribly guilty. But why? What had he done? He was racking his brains, and then he saw it. A dog pointing angrily at his discarded cigarette butt. You don't think you're a litterer, but cigarette butts are rubbish. If you smoke, bin your butts. Keep Britain tidy.
Oh no! Someone is stealing the smiles from Happy Meal. Join the mission to get them back with the minions from Despicable Me 4. Only in cinemas. Want some fun, some food? It's all inside this Happy Meal. Until the 27th of August from 11 a.m. Includes one pre-selected book or toy. All stocks last.
1089 and 1053, medium wave.
Online, on your mobile, on the app,
And on your smart speaker. TalkSport.
2 Sport.
appreciate Larry continues to lead the Open safely in the clubhouse on 7 under. Real contrast on the course at the moment, as there often is with links golf here over 18 at the first. There is an element of sunshine. There are a few breaks in the cloud and blue sky can be seen, but as they look back down the course towards 2 and 3 and further out down towards the beach and down the seaside, the clouds are gathering, and over the Firth of Clyde there are some very, very dark clouds that could be coming this way, and that front nine is a very, very difficult task for these golfers with the wind. And at the moment it's just past 4 o'clock this Friday afternoon. We're going to take a 15-minute news now. Here's Tony Livesey.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live. Listen on BBC Sounds.
Thank you very much, Chappers. Now, yes, the company behind an IT firm which is causing chaos with computers around the world has admitted that it is going to take some time to fix the cybersecurity firm CrowdStrike. There's a defect in one of its software updates. It's hit Windows operating systems. As a result, almost 1,400 flights have been cancelled, and banking, healthcare and shops have all been affected, and the rest. Money and Work reporter Peter Riddick has been following the story throughout the day. John Stan, Peter, hello. We'll get into the details in a second, but there's just been a really interesting post from our cyber correspondent, which anyone who's been affected by this might be about to slap their forehead. What's he saying?
This is extraordinary. So we knew it was to do with this an update to the cybersecurity software used by lots of companies. And the assumption was it was, an update to make the software safer, or more important, or to deal with a sort of an extra threat. It's now being termed described as a content update. So Joe Tidy's reporting is that it could well be not a sort of a refresh of the software, but something almost just as simple as just changing the font or the logo or the software design, and that is all the update was about. But it's ended up causing this extraordinary chaos in so many systems offline. So if that's true, that would be amazing.
And one of the theories around it is that would be why it wasn't checked.
Exactly, which would potentially explain why it didn't go through a more rigorous testing process before being pushed out to computers around the world and causing the problems we've been dealing with.
Right. Well, look, where are we with all this then? Are things gradually?
I think it's a bit of a mixed picture. They are certainly looking at this. You go on the line and sort of look at sort of complaints that are made about sort of various different online services, and you can see the graph. There's a real peak around 9 o'clock this morning, clearly when people turning computers on, and we're certainly down from that. It does seem that some businesses are getting their services back online a lot quicker than others. The CrowdStrike CEO has been speaking again actually within the past hour or so. He said that some computers it will be immediate, and others it could take hours or longer. Not sure entirely on why. We do know that some of the really big firms like American Airlines have got things back quicker. Could that be just because they've got more IT people? We were talking earlier when we thought this involved actually going to the keyboard and tapping in your update. So potentially that could explain why. But there are still issues going on. So I'm just on the Labrets website. They're down. They're experiencing service interruption. We think as a result of the problems we've seen. We know that some small businesses in terms of payments are struggling. Man United and Celtic, in terms of their ticket websites, they're still experiencing issues. And of course there is the problem with travel disruption, which I'm sure we'll talk about in a little bit. That's likely to last for quite a while, because of course, as you know, if you stop airports or airlines for a short period, the knock-on impact can be quite large. And interestingly, we have heard as well from the Global Payroll Association. They're just warning that, not certain yet, but there is a potential that there could be implications for businesses that process payroll weekly. They will obviously need to get their system back online quite quickly in order to process those payments. So something to keep an eye on as well.
Yeah, which you will be doing, and you're back with us at 5 as well. So
That's right.
So we'll talk that. Thanks, Peter. That's our Money and Work reporter, Peter Riddick. Well, the huge outage today has shown just how reliant we've all become on technology. We've been hearing your stories throughout the day here on 5 Live. Gemma spoke to us earlier after being delayed at Palmer Airport in New York.
Ridgefield at the very entrance of the airport in extremely long queue. Whilst the weather was sort of
security correspondent Frank Gardner explains.
It's issuing an advisory. It's not legally binding, but it will be seen as a basis for international law, and it's looking at, it's examining. And it's a pretty damning verdict on Israel's actions and policies there. I'm just going to, because this is incredibly legalese, and as you can imagine, there was a big preamble as to what the framework of their work has been. This is delivered by the spokesperson for 15 judges. They've been examining this since 2022. They took evidence throughout February from around 50 countries, and their conclusions in brief are that Israel's policies and practices are in breach of international law. The continued presence of Israel in the occupied territories is illegal, and they call on Israel to cease all new settlement activity, particularly focuses on the settlements and the treatment of Palestinians in those territories. Now, Israel, I think, they're unlikely to accept this. In the past, that they have not accepted the legality of rulings when it comes to their occupation of Palestinian territories. But I think it's a pretty hostile verdict for Israel.
That's our security correspondent Frank Gardner. Just to end, Ukraine's President Zelensky has become the first foreign leader to speak to the cabinet in person since 1997. He asked ministers if restrictions could be lifted that prevent long-range Western weapons from being used to hit targets inside Russia. And you may already realise this, it is the hottest day of the year so far. A temperature of 31.2 degrees Celsius has been recorded at Heathrow. However, Kelso breeze today marks the peak of the heat. Cooler weather will spread eastward over the weekend. That's the news for now. I'm back at 5. Let's get the travel news. Here's on that.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live. Listen live on digital, online, smart speaker, or the BBC Sounds app.
Thanks, Jenny. So as you'd expect, long motorway queues everywhere, lots of incidents, some of them are clearing though. The A1M, County Durham southbound at 63, Chesterley Street, one lane closed for a breakdown towards Carlisle. The A1M southbound at 48 at Boroughbridge, an accident, one lane closed southbound at M62 in West Yorkshire, queues eastbound, where they held the traffic for an accident at 28 at Tingley. The M1 in Leicester heading south 21A, that's where the accident was, all lanes just reopened but queues still there. The M25 both sides of the Dartford crossing are queuing, and Durham interchange at junction 2, severe delays there because 3 lanes are closed, a lorry's broken down. One of the tunnels was closed but it reopened, but the queues go all the way back to the M20 at junction 3. M4 queues at the Bringglass tunnels 26 Marlhurst Road, taking it over half an hour westbound. M4 queues again westbound 19 near Bristol, heading towards the M5 at 20. Long queues after an accident, but all lanes just reopened. And that M5 queue today southbound 17 Cribs Causeway to 20 at Clevedon, slow in patches all the way down. The latest on the IT systems error, so it's airports which are reporting delays, and they stretch between 30 minutes and 2 hours. But the trains are reporting earlier calls and nothing current really. I want to mention to my travel.
After victory in the first test, England are looking to seal the series in the second, live from Trent Bridge.
Shot 1, L2, the deep square boundary, all the way for 6, Harry Brook.
Hit every ball, every boundary, and every wicket with 5 Sports Extra.
And keep up to date with the TMS podcast on BBC Sounds.
It comes now, is there any balls? And that's hit hard into the leg side of the field as out.
frustrated that he didn't make the 18, left himself 77 yards for his second shot. But super difficult, had to, get some spin on the ball, didn't manage to do that. Like you say, he was under a little bit more pressure with the cameras then, kind of looking down on him. But at the end of the day, he's in a fantastic position to go into this weekend of this Open Championship and give it a good go. I mean, what a chance and an opportunity and everything that he's probably dreamt of.
Well, that's it. I was going to say that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, bigger picture. We talked about the cynicism of journalism, thinking, after one round you may drop away today. There are the majority of players in the field around this time this afternoon who will gladly take a 1 over par 72 wherever they probably are on that leaderboard, let alone in second.
Exactly that, man. And you have to look at the bigger picture as well as just the 36 holes that are in front of him at the Open Championship. With the weather conditions potentially going to turn and get a little bit worse than they already are, and it hasn't been easy at all. A great championship can open so many more doors in different ways, world ranking points, new sponsorship, all those things. So he's got a weekend to be just thankful of and look forward to.
Okay, let's bring you to it. Do you know what you're doing next, Ian?
I think we're going to yomp out and try and find a Rory McIlroy. Going to have a sandwich first, though.
Right, well,
you need fortification for that one.
Yeah, you will, because Rory McIlroy is about to more probably triple bogey, I think, the hole that he is on. Is that right, James Craig?
He's just watching Tyrrell Hatton try to save his par here in the par 5 fourth. He doesn't. Obviously, it'll be Henry Chappie to give that shot they picked up straight back, so he'll go back to +2 for the championship. Rory McIlroy has got around 3.5 feet left after a very good bunker shot, I must say. He's been all over this golf course and all over this hole. What we'll put you in just a second, because we're just going to see Rory, who has put forward a double bogey 7. Remember, he's at +8 for the championship. And these big galleries largely subdued and a little disappointed. Words of encouragement as the Northern Irishman bounded up towards this fourth green. But they'll need a lot more than encouragement if he's going to be playing any further part after today here at Royal Trip. Standing over it now, lovely maroon sweater on, and the gasps of the crowd, I think, do my job for me, because that is going to be a triple bogey 8 for Rory McIlroy here. Unbelievable unravelling, and that what we were saying just as we met each other by that second green, where Rory had that excellent up and down to just keep himself at even par and keep himself kind of hanging on in there. And actually, it's not unfeasible that the cut line could go to 7 over. So the fact that McIlroy is now at +11, well, it's goodbye time.
Just shows you that any hole on this front nine can become a snowman. It can become a triple bogey. You hit one bad shot, you're offline. The wind's howling. You know that you're not getting a downwind hole for another couple hours. It wears on you mentally, and Rory's definitely weary right now. He's going to have to play some fantastic golf to have any chance to stick around.
And also, you see that body language of Rory McIlroy's as well. We talked about it yesterday, how his shoulders were slumped. We were just hoping to see that bouncy Rory, the one that springs down the fairway today. And that's a real telltale sign as we make our way all the way through the big, vast galleries that are trying to gather in, just to try and get a bit of a glimpse of Rory here as he makes his way to the most exposed part of this golf course, right on the 5th tee box. And we've not seen that body language, have we, Dan? It's been really, really poor body language from McIlroy.
I wonder if fatigue, and not physical fatigue, but mental fatigue. I mean, it's been such a grueling couple of weeks, months, even years for Rory McIlroy. It's the end part of a long summer, a lot of travel involved, and you just wonder if he feels fresh mentally, physically, or if some of all the headlines and all the interviews and all the questions are starting to wear him.
We believed him at the start of the week, though, didn't we? When he was saying, "I put it all behind me." It took me 4 or 5 days of real bitter disappointment after Pinehurst to get over it, and after several really good conversations with people around me, I've taken the positives. I certainly believed it. Do you reckon he believed it?
I think he believed it, but he still had this to look forward to, right? So you're not going to let yourself go to a dark place when you've got another major championship coming in 3 weeks. Now that this one has slipped away, I wonder if there'll be almost like a secondary hangover. He's like, man, I really did have a great chance.
And remember, it's such a long time until the next major championship, so a long time to either dwell on it or
interpret some of the body language of golfers out there.
I think the most frustrating thing for Rory though, Mark, was that he hit a big slash off the tee into some real thick buckeye down the left-hand side. He then actually only advanced it about 2 or 3 yards. That then left him still in the really heavy long grass down the left-hand side of the par 5. He then advanced it forwards, knocked it long left of the green into the gallery there to part all the crowds just to let Rory have an angle, then knifed it over the edge into the bunker, and then he hit that bunker shot. Like all bad holes, as we all know, that ends in a short miss putt. So it was actually his own doing. You can't really blame the conditions, perhaps the tee shot, Dan, but it seems to have just been sort of a comedy of errors.
Yeah, I think the fourth shot into the wind took it. Rory's a high ball hitter, and sometimes the wind can bother him a little bit. It looked like, especially when he's not playing well, that left miss, and the wind is off the right, basically the score front back, so it's not just into it, it's off the right. And for Rory, that can sometimes be a tricky one.
I think we've all had the benefit today and yesterday. This front 9 with the breezes blowing him off the Firth of Clyde to the right-hand side as you play the front 9 off this fantastic golf course, and we're seeing the same sorts of shots, these big high ballooning shots. And it seems to me, I heard Ian earlier on fascinatingly describe the way that Dan Brown was tackling the golf course. I know we've heard a lot about Dan Brown and the way he's been going, a really boring shot. I think it might have been number 16, the par 5 that he hit in, that Ian described it as, and that's what you've got to do, isn't it? I mean, you both remarked on that on the 3rd and just now here on 4 down.
You have to. You can't just paint by numbers on a course like this. I think back to a major earlier this year, like Valhalla, where the greens are soft and there's no wind, and these guys are so good and they know their numbers with the launch monitor so well. And if there's no wind, they're going to hit good shots. Justin Thomas always talks about this. If there's no wind and the greens are soft, we're going to shoot 0. The greens are firm and the wind is not down right now.
Just looking at Rory McIlroy, actually, if we can stay here for just a second. So just a reminder, Rory McIlroy 11 over par for the championship, and even if Dan and sort of our predictions are correct, the +7 could well be feasibly beat the cut line. We can have a little look on data golf, aren't we, for that, but in the meantime,
I think they're still saying 5 over.
That's it. It could quite easily go to definitely 6. There's an 83% chance it'll be 6 over mark. So I think that is going to be the mark. McIlroy here, teeing off this par 3 5th hole, leading once again, and a very forlorn look as that one has missed the green short right. He tried to obviously play the breeze this time, and a big flare out right once again. Bother for Rory McIlroy, 11 over par, and it feels very flat on this exposed part of Realtree.
There are lots of chuntering golfers out there at the moment. I would have thought none more so than a little earlier on Aguri Iwasaki, because the Japanese golf made 9 at the 13th and then also took 9 at the 14th, which is the only instance in the last 30 years of the Open where a player has made a score of 9 or higher on consecutive holes. To the other end of the scale, Justin Rose, who until a few minutes ago had a bogey-free Open Championship, but Shoji Osaka.
Yeah, it's the first drop shot for Justin Rose in 30 holes. He went through 29 holes, as you say, without dropping a single shot at this Open Championship, and it was number 30 that got him. Do you know, number 12 today is playing so difficult as it was yesterday. 451-yard par 4, but it's right into the wind all the way, a little bit uphill as well, so it plays like a 500-yarder for a par 4. Justin found the bunker on the edge of the green, so the greenside bunker. His bunker shot out of that was about 10-12 feet away, and he just missed the putt there. So he's put a lovely tee shot down the middle of the 13th, and his approach shot looked pretty good from where I'm standing, so we'll see. If I was his caddy, I'd tell him to keep his chin up, because he is playing pretty well. He had looks at birdie at 10 and at 11. Just that little mishap on that very difficult part, the 12th hole, and if he just keeps it together, he could really be in the mix over the weekend. So Justin Rose drops one back to -3, 4 shots off the lead as it stands.
And just to give you an indication of how difficult it is here at the moment, of all the men under par, well, do you know what? I was going to say, of all the men under par, only 2 of them are out on the course, but Mikey Neiman has just dropped back and is no longer under par. So the only man who is under par at the moment and out on the course is Justin Rose. has finished and is in the clubhouse. Lowry on 7 under, Brown on 5 under, Rose on 3 under, then Horsham, Burmester and Scheffler.
Yeah.
And as I said, Justin Rose, the other one currently out on the course, who is under par. Let's go back to Trent Bridge. Nikish.
The West Indies continue to frustrate England's bowlers here. This partnership now between Cavum Hodge and Alec Athanas worth 166 runs. They've taken that West Indies score to beyond 250, almost as many as they scored across 2 innings in Lords in that humiliating defeat in the first test. They're 251 for 3. They're trailing them by 165 runs. And Shoaib Bashir at the moment, who took 2 wickets in that first session, looked really lively early on. He's taken a bit of tap. Ben Stokes has brought himself back into the attack. He's gone through 5 overs without any luck so far. Mark Wood's tried his best. 97-mile-an-hour bouncers. And the West Indies have weathered all those storms so far in good batting conditions here at Trent Bridge. At 251 for 3, they trailed by 165.
There are a lot of grumpy men out on that course at the moment. Is the group you're following grumpy, Ali?
Murray and I were slightly disappointed to lose you, Mark, off the back of your chat with Alistair Cook about half an hour or so.
Well, I tried to build you both up as a batsman of repute.
Well, I know, and I was going to have a little chat with him about how I used to prepare to combat fast bowling in the back garden, where we got the garden hose out and we wet the wicket in the back garden. You use one of those plastic wind balls that would absolutely fly off the surface when you did that. But
well, if we get him back a little bit later on, we'll ask him if that's a good preparation for facing Mark Wood.
Yeah, let's tell you about Bob McIntyre, because we've been talking about big numbers and how difficult it is out here this afternoon. The support for him out here is absolutely immense. Shouts of "come on, Bob" every single step he takes. Started today, treble bogey on the first, bogey, then that treble bogey 8, Andrew, on the par 5 fourth, where the drive went right into that horrible lie that you described. He actually had a whack at that, didn't move it anywhere, took a penalty drop, played 4 across the fairway, then 5 up to the green and down in 8. He's sort of, I was going to say steadied the ship, because he's gone par on the 5th and 6th, but basically the ship had capsized and he's turned it over the right way up, and now he's battling to try and make the cut. He's 9 over par at the moment for the championship, 8 over for the day.
Yeah, what his head must be like, that scrambled eggs, isn't it? Yeah, the crowd are really trying to get behind him, honestly, but he's having none of it. He's got his head ducked down behind his visor, and he's really fighting everything, fighting his own demons, the weather, some poor decisions, some poor play, and treacherously difficult conditions. And if you push it at all, we saw Fleetwood try and get it close on the par 5 last, the 6th, and he just pulled it on the wind. Once the wind gets it, it takes it away, and it's really difficult to control the flight of the ball.
So those are the scores of the group then, Mark. So we've got McIntyre 8 over for the day, 9 over for the championship. Tommy Fleetwood level for the 6 he's played so far. That's 5 over for the championship. And John Rahm 1 over today, bogey the 3rd, and no birdies so far. He is 3 over for the day. And he's another one like McIntyre who can get a little irascible. So we are standing well clear.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Justin Rose had another birdie putt, but he left it short, showed you.
He's just missed that by a few feet there, but he is playing really well. I think he was into the heart of the green here at 13. This par 4 playing downwind, as the rest of the holes will for these players as they get into the clubhouse and towards the 18th. His playing partners have really struggled in the wind. It just gives you an indication of how well Justin is playing. He did drop short on the last, but he's 1 under through today, 3 under for the tournament. If he just keeps it together for the next 5 holes, he's going to be right in the mix this weekend. We haven't had an English winner, remember, since 1992, since Nick Faldo. Could this be the year?
I mentioned earlier that I thought there were 2 men out on the course who were under par, and then very abruptly Wacky Neiman dropped off
just ran by the hole by a little whisker. So what is interesting is that Max Homer is currently inside the cut line at the moment. Remember, he's at 5 over. He very nearly did hit his golf ball on the beach, and then a big hack out from really, really nasty long grass that had no chance really of staying on the green. Meant that he is now trying to tidy up for what would actually be a really good bogey save that would send him from inside the cut line to outside the cut line. But you're right, Tyrrell Hatton is the most promising of these three players. The Englishman at +3 at the moment looks like tidying up his par as we see Max Homer's bogey putt miss. So that is a big slide down the leaderboard for the man from California, a 6-time PGA Tour winner, a multiple Ryder Cup player. But he is looking very, very ordinary in the breeze here, Mark. I actually, standing here on this 5th green where he's buffeting into us now, really is. I just can't see how these guys can play a front 9 in level par. That's what makes it remarkable that Justin Rose managed to get it out there in a couple under. We were talking earlier about Justin Thomas. I was following him for the first 5 or 6 holes, for goodness sake, and he managed to post a very respectable 45 for the front 9, which is 9 over par. So he fell from 3 under to 6 over in the space of 9 holes at World Tree. That's just how brutal it is. All these top players are making it look very, very difficult out there, as we see Tyrrell Hatton drop a shot as well. So McIlroy actually at 11 over par is going to have the honour on the next tee if he can knock this little tiddler in for his par, which is just bonkers, Mark.
It is. Justin Rose did par the 13th, so he stays at 3 under. Justin Thomas, who James mentioned, is 4 over through 13. Let's go to the top of the leaderboard. Second place, Dan Brown, 5 under and 1 over par 72 today. He's 2 away from Shane Lowry, who has the lead at 7 under. And Brown is live on 5 Live with Andy Stevenson.
Dan, a brilliant 65 yesterday and battling 72 today. Are you in some ways more proud of that 72 today than yesterday because of all of the circumstances?
Yeah, I think it was always going to be tricky to back up what I did yesterday, and the conditions didn't really allow that. So it was
battered. Every shot is a demanding shot. We've just seen another one right in front of me. Matthew Pavel, who's played it out of the bunker to the right of the postage stamp, up onto the surface of the green, got blown off, and back out of the bunker and back in again. I mean, so he's got an impossible shot now. It's carnage, that's what it is. You want to come out here and see it out here, Mark. It's glorious.
I mean, it's really brightened. I mean, I've been out there all day. I've just come out. I've just come in for 10 minutes. I've just come in for 10 minutes to, you know, just get a grasp of everything that's going on. And, you know, I'll be back out. Don't worry.
You might be able to hear the wind whistling on the microphone here. I'm high above the treacherously difficult postage stamp, as if a whole 123 yards can cause this much.
I've just you heard me talk about Joachim Niemann, who went from 1 under to 4 over on the postage stamp with a quintuple bogey, and McIlroy has triple bogeyed a hole. He's just bogeyed the 5th as well. He missed his par putt there, so he continues to go backwards. Wherever you look, there are golfers struggling. We'll be back out on the course shortly, but England have made a breakthrough at Trent Bridge. Nikesh Regani.
Yes, finally that partnership of 175 between Alec Athanase and Cavum Hodge comes to an end. It's the England skipper Ben Stokes with that breakthrough, getting Athanase to play away from his body, edge one to gully, and a smart catch was taken by Harry Brooks. So England still with a pretty healthy lead in this game. The West Indies now trail by 149 runs. Hodge is still there on 86, and the West Indies are 267 for 4.
Let's get news on that latest McIlroy bogey from James Gregg and Dan Rappaport.
Oh, hello there, Mark. Yes, look, we've got eyes on Rory McIlroy. He now said that he had high hopes of having the honour of that 6th tee. Yeah, he didn't, because he also made a bogey for a bit of a nasty 3-putt. Dan Rappaport. The body language is not great. They look like club golfers who were wishing that they were in the bar.
Yeah, you know, with all the things we've talked about, Rory, we've said so much, but this is still not an excusable performance. You're the number 2 or number 3 player in the world. It's the last major of the year, and it just seemed like ever since the postage stamp yesterday, the wind was completely out of the sails. And it's so easy to give up in these conditions, but these people paid to see you. And you know, I really hope that he kind of sticks in, because he did look a little nonchalant at 3-putt.
It really did, actually. The body language, you know, we've said it isn't good, but it was the manner of it. It was the... I hate saying this about professional sportsmen, because of course they care. Of course they do. We spoke about it yesterday on air. And you get the impression that these guys are trying their absolute best, even if the scoreboard suggests otherwise. There is part of me though, Dan, you know, you spend a lot of time around professional golfers. You do a lot of these videos, and, you know, you've caddied for many of them on some of the 9-hole YouTube clips that you've done, etc., which are really fantastic insights. Come on, off the record, have any of them ever told you that, yeah, look, that was, I kind of gave up there? Have they ever given off that vibe?
You know, I haven't been lucky enough to caddy for someone of Rory's caliber. So, you know, most of the guys that they still take pride in making the cut off on majors. But someone like Rory McIlroy, he's got $1 gazillion. And he knows that his career is basically only measured in winning major championships, because he finished 2nd in the last one and everyone hammered him for it. So it's only human nature to be like, well, what am I really working toward here? It's a good question.
There would look, there is professional pride for him as well, but maybe it says more about my personality, but there would be a temptation to think, I've just tweaked my back. Maybe a bit. No, but I mean, you know, that is only human nature, really.
I think we see it in other sports, Mark, don't we?
Yeah.
As we see the odd footballer or the odd cricketer or whatever, when they're really up against it. You know, you might see a number 11 batsman when the game's already lost, try and swipe one for 6, for example. Dan's looking at me with a very confused look on his face. I can't think of an equivalent analogy. We're just keeping our voices down, because Max Homer was hitting a driver off the deck, which is actually a really, really good shot, considering he's coming off the back of a double bogey. Goodness me.
I gotta say, I feel like we see a lot more drivers off the deck than we used to 5 years ago. I don't know if it's like an advancement in the technology, but it also used to be that when you had a driver off the deck, you had to hit this like low burner cut. That was like pretty high. It's pretty impressive.
It was quite a nice shot, actually. So I think that probably just negates the fact that these galleries, they are actually still being treated to high quality golf shots, despite the fact that this Paul Courier is just putting new numbers up that are getting higher and higher and higher every single time.
I'm just going to bring Katrina Matthew in. I mean, it's tough going for Rory. It must be all sorts going through his head at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. It must be pretty scrambled, I would say. He just probably wants to get off the golf course. I mean, he's going to be trying. As a professional, you want to still try and have I mean, he knows he's probably going to miss the cut, but he wants to try and at least have a decent score. But yeah, it is tough. I mean, he's coming in here wanting to win it, and when he knows really after yesterday he had no chance, it is difficult. But I think it's, as someone said, it's your professional pride. You've just got to keep digging in there and get on with it.
You are a member here at Royal. With his quintuple bogey on the postage stamp, which included, Katrina, there are 5 bunkers, aren't there, that surround the postage stamp, and he went in 3 of them.
Maybe he went in the other 2 yesterday and got the whole
full house.
But yeah, it's just a devilishly difficult little hole. It just really shows that a hole doesn't need to be long to be difficult, even for the best players in the world.
And somebody who's finding it difficult at the moment is Bob McIntyre. Ali.
Yeah, such a challenging tee shot, Mark. I think it's playing 120 yards today to this narrow strip of green, these 5 deep bunkers, the coffin bunker just below us. We're standing atop this big sand dune to the left-hand side of the postage stamp green. I was going to say, if you stood right on the edge, actually, at the top of the hill here and looked down into that bunker, I'd almost feel like I could be in Leonardo DiCaprio's arms on the prow of the Titanic, standing out there feeling like I was flying. That's what it's like up here. You can feel the wind, you can probably hear the wind gusting around. I mean, talk me through trying to play this tee shot there. Andrew Murray, Tommy Fleetwood standing over it now.
For a start, Tommy Fleetwood's probably the best wind player in the field, but he's shielded by the massive grandstand to the left-hand side, so he himself is not aware of how strong it is, but he will be. He's played a pretty good-looking shot here down the left-hand side. Well, that's fantastic. Right in the middle of the green. And he controlled the flight of the ball. When we are stood at 25 feet above the green, the ball's going another 25, 30 feet above us, so that when the players are hitting it from this slightly elevated tee to this green that's slightly sitting beneath them, the ball's travelling 100 feet up in the air. It's getting buffeted a lot, and if you haven't got the exact control over the flight and the spin, then it's a bit like Bob's. Once it's gone, you know it's gone. It's going to hit the green and go right.
He kept that so much lower, didn't he, Fleetwood, than McIntyre?
Yeah, he's a wonderful shot maker, Tommy Fleetwood. He genuinely hit the best shot I've seen this week on the previous hole with a 6-iron into that wind at the 7th, and he's a joy to watch when he's in form like this.
What was quite clever about that as well, Mark, you've got one of these pot bunkers front left of the green and one front right, and Tommy Fleetwood's ball almost went in through the front door with a little bit of sort of low left to right fade on. It was absolutely perfect for line. He's left himself maybe 25 feet or so, and John Rahm has not been able to repeat the trick. 3 Ryder couples playing together today in McIntyre, Fleetwood and Rahm. We've got McIntyre 7 over for his round today, 8 over for the championship. Tommy Fleetwood level today after his birdie at the 7th, so he's 5 over for the championship, and John Rahm 1 over today, 3 over for the championship. And if you want Andrew Murray and I to mock up a bit of Winslet and DiCaprio, put it on the old social media, we'd go for a bit of that.
Absolutely. The social media, I'm not saying they're desperate, but they'll take anything. So if you do that, that's good. Rahm and McIntyre about 5 foot apart from each other in the same bunker. Another par for Justin Rose. Shojo.
Yeah, par 3, 14 is 200 yards. Just to give you an idea of what this wind is doing, it's downwind all the way. 200 yards, what would you hit? Well, Justin Rose hit a 7-iron and he was through the green. An 8-iron would have got him there. That shows you the strength of the wind. Anyway, he bounced on the green, went over a little hump to the back of the green and made a phenomenal up and down. His little chip to within 3 feet, and he holds that putt, so he moves over to the 15th tee. Right now on 3 under par, still 4 off the lead. If he can just, pars are so valuable at the moment, if he can par the rest all the way home, he'll be very, very happy indeed.
I'm told John Murray still hasn't found his group. Is that right?
I'm actually waiting for them.
Well, as a man of your stature should.
Yeah, so there's no alarm here, there's nothing to see. I'm just waiting for them to
yeah, it's steady golf, I think. You know, a couple of drop shots isn't bad out here today, is it, Katrina?
No, I think you've got to accept you're going to make some bogeys out here today. You know, they've just been steady. They've just got to, when they do have that chance, they've got to try and take it just to make up for the odd bogey that you are going to make.
All three of them flirting with the cut line, which is currently, I think, at 5 over, all of them at 6 over par. So that'll be an interesting narrative to follow for the afternoon. And finally, Mark, the sun is out.
It is. It's a very, very bright afternoon. I suppose the only thing, Katrina, people listening will be going, well, how's Justin Rose managing to do what he is doing when, obviously, well, I play very well, but when everybody else is flailing around?
I think you'll notice that no matter what the weather's like, there's always one or two players who will conquer it. They'll hold the putts when they have to. They'll get the odd lucky break, skip round a bunker, get a good lie in the rough. So no matter what the weather conditions are, someone's going to shoot a good score. But I think the majority of them are really struggling in this wind. I think because it's a crosswind, they're just struggling with the ball flight and to control it.
That's another drop shot for Ludwig Aubert as well, just as we mentioned struggling with the wind. We spoke to his coach, didn't we, yesterday, Peter Hansen, about him learning to flight the ball in these windy conditions, and we have seen him actually putting some effort in to keep those shots below the wind. He hasn't been ballooning it up into the air as much as he was yesterday.
No, he had a couple of fantastic kind of long irons. He kept them probably just about 10-20 feet in the air, just kind of then scampering along the fairway, which is just what you have to do. Kept out the crosswind and out the kind of little bit of wind into, and it was great to see actually. But I think it's when you get to these short irons, it gets tricky. You've got to try and just keep the spin off them, maybe take an extra club and more chip it.
Yeah, 3 drop shots on the bounce for the Swedish star. Mark. He's at 7 over par now, so has work to do to stay within the cut line.
Okay, thank
topside lane with a massive flash.
I mean, that's some lick, isn't it?
Yeah, they've been playing really well, man. I've mentioned how Athanasi got up driving, but he plays some really